you will find when you talk about subjects like that, these new way thinking people, it's so easy for them to perceive something that is negative. That's negative. The world's going into darkness. That's negative speech. No, that's reality. Okay? You've got positive, you've got negative, and you have reality. Now, once you deal with reality, the positive and the negative, it's futile. This is what I was telling the woman tonight. And it's always the women that are always talking this positive energy and all of that nonsense. And as long as this new wave doctrine is floating around, you're never going to get anything done with people like that. So I said my goodbyes tonight because I don't have time for that, you know. And as I was walking to my car, you know, a brother who Brother Walter had introduced me to had told me, he said, man, you know, I understand how you feel, but you know how these women are, you know. And I just told him, I said, you know what, that's why I would rather not work with women, because women don't do nothing but disrupt things, because they're emotional creatures and they're not logical creatures, and therefore they don't see things as they are. They try to see things as they wish it would be, but it is not so. And unless you deal with what is so, you're not going to be able to know how to resolve things. You're never going to understand what needs to be done unless you see things realistically. Trying to think positive and look at things positive, that implies a person who is trying to control things, even a person that's trying to manifest things upon their own, and yet still they say that they have faith in God. I don't go into anything thinking positive or negative, because as long as you're taking something into something that is brand new, you're not seeing the problem for what it is. And the resolve is going to come from the problem. You can't bring the resolve to the problem, especially if the problem is new. You know, this is why Yeshua said, go and observe all things. When you're observing things, like say if you're standing there and you're observing this creature, you might as well say, or thing, whatever the case may be, we're talking about observation. If you're observing something, the moment you start comparing, well, you know what, this reminds me of this reminds me of that. As long as you're comparing something that you're observing that is new, you're never going to find out what it is, because you're in this comparison thing, and you're seeing something brand new through the screen of comparison, which is knowledge of the past. You have to get rid of all of that. The only way that you're going to be able to recognize what something actually is, you have to observe it. You can't take anything with you. You can't try to figure it out or anything like that, or try to compare it to anything. You have to understand that it's going to reveal itself to you and tell you what it is. Life is sacred. So stop going into life with these thoughts in your head. I'm going to think positive. I'm going to think positive. Life is going to be what it is. I don't care how positive your thinking process is. Your thinking process is not going to govern anything, and it's damn sure not going to change anything. In reference to the beginning, the video before this one, I was talking about the New Wave community and their method of thinking. And a lot of them, well, I can't say a lot, but a few had asked me, how is it that you go into anything without thinking positive or negative? And that right there told me how very complex the people are. See, when Yeshua had said, observing all things, when you look at the word things, he used the word things. And things in this content means the unknown, what is sacred before you venture in to the circumstances. Things. That means unlimited observation, observing all things. So due to the fact that we're dealing with something sacred, unknown, you cannot venture into anything that is new and therefore unknown with your mind preconditions to either think positive or negative. Because due to the fact that it is of the unknown, your thinking process, either positive or negative, is a contradiction because you don't know what is before you. This is the reason why he used the word observing all things, the unknown, the sacred. This is why I was saying that what cultivates positive and what cultivates negative is based upon past experiences and therefore information that you have accumulated and you that has made a either negative impression on you or a positive impression on you. And with each one, you build up convictions that you take with you, that when you have these convictions on both of those, you might as well say dual components, and you go into something new, you're going to prejudge these things as positive or negative. I don't take anything with me when I'm going in to something that is new and sacred. The reason why I don't think positive or negative when the Creator is taking me into something that was sacred, but due to the fact that now I am venturing into it, it's no longer sacred. However, the meaning of it is sacred because I am currently venturing into something and I'm in the learning process until it is revealed to me of what it is that I am experiencing. But if I have a preconditioned mind, and if I say, well, this is positive or this is negative, did it mean that I'm taking the past into the present, and therefore I am contaminating the present because I am trying to say, well, this is positive and this is negative. You're living in the past. And when you're living in the past, when you're going into the present, you betray the present. That is my point. So this is the reason why I say I don't take anything in something new with me, because if I take a screen in there with me and I'm looking at what is through the knowledge of the past, I'm not able to see what is because I'm still looking through the screen of the past, and therefore my past perceptions and my convictions and everything. And so this is why I say that the New Wave community live in the past. And they are no different than any other religious doctrine that condemns people as sinners or whatever the case may be, or evil or whatever. Oh, you're a low vibrational person. You need to bring your vibration up into a higher frequency. But you left the church, right? So that's no distinction than the Christian telling someone you have to be born again in the spirit. You have to be born again in the spirit. Now people may say, but you say that all the time. But not in their context. When you're dealing with the religion of Christianity and when you're dealing with the church, you have people who fall back on that same level of understanding, which is positive and negative, to determine if a person is indeed living in spirit or if they're still in the flesh. When no one can determine that, because you're not on this planet to please other human beings. You are on this planet to show yourself worthy to God and God alone. Not to the human being, not to your pastor, not to your church members. No one. A clear example, and I use this scenario a lot, but I'm going to use it here. If you wake up in the middle of the night and you look across the street and your best friend's home is on fire, and you go outside, I'm just going to throw a name out there. Like, say your best friend's name is John. John's house is on fire. You see John's parents outside. There's firemen out there and everything. You go up to John's parents and you say, "Where's John?" John's parents say, "We couldn't get to John. We had to leave immediately." So, what you do is you say, "Well, I'm going to go in there after John, and I will get him myself." Now, there's a fireman standing next to you. He just so happens to hear what you had said. And if the fireman says, "You cannot go in that house while it's on fire because it is at least 350 to 400 degrees Fahrenheit in that house." So you say, "Well, I'm going to think positive. I'm going to go in that house and I'm going to get my friend John out of that house in spite of what you just told me." So you go in the house with your positive thinking. And what is going to be waiting for you is 350 to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. And no matter how positive you think, that temperature is not going to decrease. And guess what's going to happen to you? You are going to meet the same fate as your best friend. So what you're dealing with a people who have these images inside of their head based upon their desires. So they have desires that are preconditioned. And they think that if they utilize or if they execute this certain way of thinking, these things are going to manifest. So we're still thinking in terms of manifestation. So due to the fact that you have this image inside of your mind, and therefore expectations inside of your mind, based upon what you desire, you're living by way of unrealistic expectations. So as you go forward, you think you're going forward, but you're still rooted in the past. So you're going forward and you have this image in your head. And no matter how much you think, positive thinking, positive vibes only, positive thinking, positive vibes only. See, your mind is on that way of thinking instead of doing realistically what is necessary to get the results that you are going to perceive as positive results. But when you're working your way towards the resolve, as I said before, I don't think positive nor negative. I'm focusing on realistically what I have to do in order to accomplish success. But when you are dealing with people who have these images, this image in their mind, and therefore this expectation of manifestation, when reality presents itself, reality clashes with this image that they have based upon what they expect, and due to the fact that the reality doesn't reflect this image, this positive image that they had in their head, all of a sudden they perceive the results as negative. Oh, this is not what I expected. This is negative. So when you have people like that come to meetings with those type of expectations, they actually think that they're concerned about the direction that the world is going in. But at the same time, they're denying the direction that the world is going in by saying someone in there who is being realistic about the direction that the world is going in, and the world is going into a dark place, they perceive that as negative. That's negative. That's negative thinking. They fail to realize that the person who is speaking realistically, that the world is going into darkness, which is a negative, they want to attack the person who is thinking realistically as a negative human being. This is how off these people are. And they spend all this time trying to attack you, instead of asking you, why do you think the world is going into darkness? And it's all around you. That is when reasoning is supposed to take its course. Let's all put our heads together and reason together so that we will come to the same understanding. And from that understanding, we will be able to understand what we have to do to make matters better. But if there's people in there, male or female, that are saying, well, that's negative, that's negative, that's negative, you will never become successful with people who are thinking with that process, because all they want to do is attack the people who are realistically interested in doing whatever is necessary to make the society better. And the only way that you are going to be able to make the society together, you have to be realistic on where the society and what direction the society is going. All of your positive thinking is not going to work, is not going to make the world turn around. You can say, you just gotta think positive, you just gotta think positive, you gotta think positive. Your positive thinking is not going to have any magical, mystical, or majestical spell or effect on what is transpiring in the world. You are not in control of anything. This is what I keep trying to tell these people. I was going to use another word. You are not in control of anything simply because you think in a certain fashion. You're not in control. You want to get in control? You want to get on board? Do you really want to be a good helper? Then see things as they are. You have to see things as they are and not what you wish it to be. You're dealing with a bunch of images in your head. As soon as you hear something with this method of thinking and perceiving, then you start attacking people. And that's just gonna cause a bunch of conflict. Well, I think he's being negative. He's giving off negative energy. He needs to raise his vibration higher, to a higher frequency. Oh, you sound so smart. You sound so deep. You sound so deep. However, it is ineffective. It's just clever talk. As a matter of fact, you sound like you've been sitting up reading a goddamn Einstein book. Neither that or you've been going to too many Erykah Badu concerts, listening to her madness, listening to her nonsense, because she talks the same language. And before you know it, she's on stage with her daughter twerking. When you seen Erykah Badu on stage twerking with her daughter or twerking at all, how did you feel about that? Was that positive? Was she giving off positive energy? Your method of thinking based upon your desires means absolutely nothing. You have to see everything realistically. You have to say, look, the world's going into darkness. And when everyone agrees, without any of these preperceptions of trying to determine if what someone says is positive or negative, and everyone agrees that yes, the world is going into darkness. It is. The direction that it's going in is not good. So what are we going to do about it? See, what we are going to do about it, that cultivates after everyone agrees on that one fact. The world's going into darkness. And we all live in this same world, and we all see and feel the same thing. So what are we going to do about it? Because we helped create this mess. Now, a lot of people, they say, well, I didn't help create the mess. This mess was created before I got here. Aren't you a part of humanity? Yes, I'm a part of humanity, but that was them. If it's them, it's you too. We were placed here upon the planet to make the world a better place. So what they did before, we did also, because we are a part of the same human family. What they didn't clean up, we're responsible. What mess that they made, we're responsible for cleaning it up. Anytime you are walking down, like say, a hallway, in a store or a school or wherever, and you see a wet spill, and you know the dangers of a wet spill, for you to say, this is going to hurt somebody, but I didn't do it, so I'm just going to walk around it, and I'm going about my business. With that attitude, you're also responsible for making that wet spill because you didn't do anything about it after you acknowledged it. You didn't do anything about it. So therefore, what I'm saying is, the mess that those before us made is taking us into a dark place. And that is the reality of what is. And instead of condemning the world as negative, that's negative energy. I don't want to deal with that. You're the same person that see that wet spill and you say, I didn't do it, and you just walk around it. And the next thing you know, someone gets hurt. You're no different than those who created this mess when you're walking around with that foolish mentality. I didn't do it, so I don't care. Okay, well, now you did it too. How about that? Somebody who didn't make the mess physically is going to have to clean the mess up before others get hurt. That's the point. When I was in Georgia, I was dealing with a woman, Salam Yuma. She was one of these energy people. And she created the most humiliating and the most disrespectful time of my life. But you energy people, you're so righteous. You're so on point. You're so enlightened. I say you're so full of shit. That's what I say you are. Because it really doesn't matter what you say or how you say it. If you do not know how to treat other human beings, what you say means nothing. It means absolutely nothing. And she wasn't the only one. It was another woman under the name Kathy. I was with her. She was talking the same thing, the energy. She was burning the sage and all that. Oh, I'm burning the sage because this gets rid of all of the evil spirits and the negative energy in the house. The only thing you doing is burning the plant. That's all you doing. Because by you assuming that someone in your atmosphere is negative or anything in your atmosphere is negative, and so you feel as though you have to burn the sage instead of dealing with the people or the thing that is in your environment that you perceive as negative, you want to burn some sage. This gets rid of the negative energy in your home. That's what you believe? It's nonsense. The only thing you're doing is burning the plant. That's it. That's it. You're not resolving anything. And this goes in tandem with this type of thinking. You want to stop all the negative so-called energy in your home, then address what is going on in your home that you perceive as negative. Address it. And when you address it, you're being realistically interested in resolving what you perceive as negative in your home. So when it all boils down to it, reality is what you are going to have to deal with. Unless you deal with reality and accept reality for what it is, you're going to always be lost. And you with your negative energies and your high vibrations and low vibration and all of that nonsense, you're not going to get anywhere. Because to you, everything is negative. Positive vibes only. Weak, you're weak. You don't want any challenges, and therefore you don't want any growth. You don't want any growth. Oh, get away from me. That's negative. I want positive vibes only. You're not living in the real world. You're living in some world, some philosopher created for you to conform to. And this is one of the reasons why you look around and with all of this negative energy and doctrine and all of that, you haven't produced anything. You haven't gotten anywhere. You haven't gotten anywhere. And look at the way you treat people. Someone don't agree with you, negative energy. Someone who you're talking to that you claim that you're close to, they're going through something, because this transpired with me in Georgia. Someone on the other end of the phone who claims that they're in your corner, and simply because you're going through a lot and there's no one else out there for you to talk to, you feel as though you can vent to them. And all of a sudden you don't hear from them because they're one of these negative energy persons, and they feel overwhelmed. They feel overwhelmed because they have this mindset, this whole mindset, new wave mindset. Unless you deal with reality as it is and accept reality for what it is, you're never going to get any resolution. So your thinking process has no power to change anything. You can think any way you want, but until you deal with reality for what it is, you're never going to go to the next phase in your growth. So get rid of all of the doctrines and the mindsets and all of that. Get rid of that, because you're not dealing with reality. You're actually going against reality, and you're actually going, and therefore you advocate the darkness that the world is going in, because you're so caught up with these images in your mind of how, well, I know the world's going into darkness, but that's negative, so I don't want to deal with it. But then you are participating in the darkness that I'm referring to. You're helping the world going into darkness by not accepting that reality that we all have to deal with each day of our lives.